Kathy? I'm about to tell you something that I never told any girl on a first date. I like to wear women's clothes. Panties, brassieres, sweaters, pumps. It's just something I do.
I do have a special place in my heart for cross-dressers because they, I think in some ways, are the least understood and sometimes the most maligned group in this whole category of gender benders. The reason for that is because in this culture we think in very black and white terms, and people who cross-dress move around in the gray. Sometimes they're dressed as men, sometimes as women.
I'm pretty much a textbook case. Most cross-dressers come out when they're about 4 or 5, they start finding there's something different with them. They don't come out to the public, but they start investigating their mother's wardrobe, their sister's wardrobe, something like that. They realize, they try to bury it most of their lives, and they just don't understand what it is. The fact that they like feminine clothes, want to wear feminine clothes. It doesn't make any sense when you're 4 or 5 years old. You don't know what's going on. Like I said, most people tend to bury it and come out in their 30s and 40s.
And the idea of actually getting out of the house, being with other people, being seen and accepted for who they are, has a great allure. And so I think as people get older, they do want to come out more.
How long have you been doing this?
Since I was a kid. My mom wanted a girl, so she used to dress me in girly clothing. It just became a habit.
Many people I talked to didn't have that experience at all. In fact, they either hid it, or if they were caught, they were punished for it.
Unlike a lot of people, I was in the entertainment business for years and performed in music on stage. And so I've always been pretty outgoing. I might be quiet sometimes, but I'm outgoing. And when I came out, started to come out publicly as a cross-dresser, it was just because I've never been able to hide anything I do. So I felt as if you were, if you were my friend and was something you didn't like, well, either you still like me or you don't. And that's how I think, and in most cases, I mean, you might lose 1% of your friends, because most people just don't care. They might have a problem with it at first, or until they meet you, or see that you're just same person, just looking a little bit different, or a lot different, that most of the time I don't think they really have that big of a problem with it once they get used to it.
For some people, there is probably just kind of a genetic predisposition toward cross-dressing that has maybe to do with a more intense sense of tactile awareness. Women's clothing is generally just so much nicer and softer, and Angora is nice, and so I think that for some people they're just initially very drawn to the feeling of it all.
I was going to add too that if you look at, he toured with rock and roll, I guess in the 70s, and if you look at his clothing, forget when it was his own long hair. I mean, it seems like there was a feminine slant to the clothes. I don't think anyone that knew him then would be like shocked. It just,
no, my brother wasn't, no.
Yeah, I mean, things like that, I think people would just go, oh, okay, next phase for Larry. So I think it evolved.
Well, I think it's really remarkable that Ed Wood made a movie 40 years ago about a cross-dresser with such compassion. He made this movie, it seems to me, in such an effort to really get people to understand.
This story's gonna grab people. It's about this guy. He's crazy about this girl, but he likes to wear dresses. Should he tell her? Should he not tell her? He's torn, Georgie. This is drama.
When Ed Wood went in to try and sell a transvestite movie, everybody thought he was nuts, but he just happened to be one of the first people to do it.
He just didn't do it very well.
But he tried really hard.
I thought the human situations were very accurate in many ways.
I thought I could stop wearing these things. I tried. Honestly, I tried.
I think that he condensed a lot of time in one frame there, but I think that he portrayed a process that wives do go through where they can be very confused and upset, and then at some point, understanding.
How long have you been together?
We're about 2.5 years.
No.
No.
It's close to probably 4 years that we know each other.
I'm unmarried.
And we've been married just 2 years and a month.
2 years and a month. There you go. Well, it seems like forever. No, I'm only kidding. No, actually, Carol used to be an electrologist, and I wanted to have my beard removed, and laser was just breaking through at the time. And so I found her and started going as a patient to her. And we started dating from that.
What would you look at?
Just speak for me.
No, I know.
It's the same thing. He came to me as a client.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually was carrying a brochure from a very well-known cross-dressing store called Jim Bridges Boutique. And so I knew immediately that he was either a cross-dresser or a TS. But he turned out to be a cross-dresser.
For most people, the urge to cross-dress is old, it's deeply rooted, it's not going to go anywhere. And so I think the first step is helping the wife understand this and understand that there isn't a cure, that the professional community who really works in this arena doesn't is not going to be providing a cure, but really that this is just part of human diversity.
How can you just walk around like that in front of all these people?
Actually, I'm divorced because my ex-wife couldn't handle the whole thing. She couldn't handle the cross-dressing aspect. It's very hard. I think it depends on, for a partner or a mate, I think it depends on how well assured they are with themselves. It seems to be the more positive and self-assured they are with their own self, the easier it is to accept somebody. Because in the world and scheme of things, it's not a big deal. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I mean, I do. I mean, obviously, I'm supportive of it, but I disagree. I think it probably has to do with your own self-security, but it also has to do with just how tolerant or open-minded. I mean, you could be a very secure person and have no room in your life for someone who does this. So I don't think that's the only quality. I think you need to be, like me, a child of the 60s. You need to be open-minded. And you need to be able to look past, the wig and the makeup and find the person.
Each couple's different, and spouses are different over time. Maybe in the beginning, she really wants very little to do with it. Over time, she becomes more accepting. So it's a matter of negotiating. And sometimes when cross-dressers' wives first find out, the cross-dresser is so relieved and so happy and wants her to get it and to understand it so deeply that he can kind of overwhelm her with this. And it's so important, I think, to intervene a little bit there, and because she's got a process of her own to go through, and to help the crossdresser be aware of what his wife's needs are.
I just ended up doing Girl Talk magazine because I wanted to do something more than just get dressed and go out to a nightclub or something like that. And I assembled quite a few talented people to show cross-dressing in a positive light.
All these issues of gender become more and more conscious for people. It starts to come up into the collective consciousness. And as that happens, hopefully we'll see more tolerance and more understanding because more information will be getting out there. You're
seeing cross-dressing showing up in major advertising all over the place. And we just sit there and go, oh my God, there's another one, It's just more accepted. Mm-hmm. So the times they are a-changing.